a fight with her boyfriend.
It hurts so bad.
We're going to the hospital.
He hit me in my stomach and I'm pregnant.
Let me see your arm. Any neck or back pain?
No, just my stomach. He hit my stomach.
Did he hit it with his hands? Did
He hit it with his fist.
Okay.
Yes, that's my number. I'm Dr. Sisher, and I'm going to be with her and Jacob for right now. So if you need to call me back, you can do that.
What's up, bud?
There was a domestic last night that came in. Pregnant woman was assaulted by her unborn child's father. Mom was actually sitting on the ground with her 3-year-old sitting in her lap, and the kid was catatonic initially, and Mom was just crying. She had terrible bruises. But by the time we were at the hospital, he was very much engaging with me and with Grandma and responsive and sort of back to a better level of functioning. The Child Development Community Policing Program is a collaboration between police and mental health clinicians. We respond to kids exposed to violence and trauma.
We're especially concerned about events and situations that really burden people's best coping mechanisms. A focus on trauma, and particularly a focus on the impact of violent trauma on the development of children and their families.
You know, when I came on the job, we were basically 911 driven. We didn't have training to deal with the kids, and you kind of had an unfinished feeling when you left the house, but you had to go to that next 911 call because they were coming in, you know? These kids out here need something.
We've always been conditioned as police officers to catch the criminal, arrest the criminal, go get the bad guys. The victim is just somebody who comes in, leaves a statement, then you tell them what to go to court. And that's the way this place operated. That's the way a lot of police departments operate in America still. Not here, not anymore.
The collaboration between the police department and the clinicians has been in existence for 16 years, and it's grown and evolved. We've replicated in about 15 cities around the country and 2 or 3 in Europe. Sometimes that means doing it exactly the way New Haven does it, which is the laboratory for all this work. And sometimes it means taking our model and adjusting it for the community that it's in.
Just saying she's gonna come over here and beat me up.
You know, we could definitely get a police officer to pick you and the baby up, take you over there. You can stay there.
10 years ago, the policing was a little bit different, so you had a lot of people believing this was a touchy-feely program that had nothing to do with police work. It's grown so much over the years, and the attitude and the relationships and the response of it throughout the department. We see this ready supply of victims that need this resource. It's a culture that we've created with it. You know, now it's almost expected that we get a CDCP response.
Georgian High, they have a subject now.
CDCP is important to policing because without us, there's a gap, a horrible gap between what police can do to make a situation safe and what can be done for the children that are often left behind.
The program really grew out of the idea that we needed to look beyond our clinic and our consulting rooms.
Being out in the community and being on an awful scene with a family, with a child, with the police, is a way of knowing a family that's very different than if they just were to walk into your clinical office months later and say, this awful thing happened to me.
And how old are you?
For me, it's a satisfaction of knowing it's preemptive, it's preventative work.
Clinicians and mental health providers see these kids, you know, obviously weeks, months, years, decades after the impact of trauma has set itself. To get it at the root, to have the clinician right then and there, was just making the connections now.
I ride around with the officers every day from 3 to 11. I deal with anything involving children, whether it's a wayward where a kid is consistently running away, or if there's a domestic where there are children present. I get assigned to an officer and we go from call to call.
So he does have a warrant, right?
If they start to have behavioral problems or not eating or eating too much or being a little too clingy, those are sure signs that there's something going on with the kids.
We have clinicians that are on call 24/7. All of those have been trained and done cross-training with the police. The officer and the clinician provide an intervention together that helps the family restore a sense of stability and safety.
Would you like a 911 capability phone?
Yeah.
Okay, but you can't dial out. All you can do is dial 911 and it accesses us right away.
Okay.
Ways to cope, what to do to recover so that hopefully serious and longer-term symptoms don't ever occur.
135. Can I get that case number?
We treat the kids from that moment going forward until they don't really need us anymore. Sometimes it's one day and sometimes it's 1 year or sometimes even longer.
We've even gone by the house, and there's nobody at the house.
The best clinicians and the best cops share something in common, which is the capacity to observe and to see well, and then to get realistic about where we can have an impact.
Earlier today, we visited a young lady, the victim, at this location, and she gave me the sense of how much fear she was in since he assaulted her. Come here, bring him. He threatened to shoot her. You lied to me. Why are you trying to play me off?
320.
Other than the warrant, you got controlled substance.
I wanted to let you know, I just got in the car with Diego and we picked up the perpetrator from your domestic earlier. Yep. So we're gonna go back and let her know that. And then I'll see how she's doing and what I can do.
Doing the follow-ups conveys to the woman that now that the emergency is over doesn't mean that they're forgotten and that there are ways that can safeguard her safety and her children's safety.
And who's that?
How do you feel?
But I got a weight has been lifted off my shoulder.
Okay. Well, I'm very happy to get him off the streets.
To go into a home after something terrible has happened and help a family restabilize. I tell the kids and the parents what they might expect, how they might feel. You might have trouble sleeping. You might notice your appetite has changed. You might have a hard time paying attention.
We have a happy mom, and probably is gonna sleep in peace tonight. That felt very good.
Come on around for a minute. I want to talk to you guys for a minute. Go ahead. What was that?
I thought you were Tom.
Listen, we got some information that some kids might be rolling through here. It might get a little hot, so do me a favor, just clear the basketball court for tonight. Come back tomorrow, whatever, all right?
One of the key elements to this program is community policing.
Establishing relationships with members of the community is the best way to engage in the process of serving and protecting.
Hi.
We have to partner with the community. We have to work with other people. Trust is a big thing in this job.
The families feel comfortable that there is another normal person responded to their home, not in uniform, and they view us as, okay, he's here to help us or she's here to help us, and not so much to take my loved ones away.
You know, the offering to someone of a hand in a way that neither humiliates or demeans or diminishes, it's sending an incredibly powerful message to the community at large that somebody is actually paying attention.
We reached out to her, but she actually gave birth this week, so we've been in contact with her. We're going to follow up.
As we become part of the community, people get to know us, talk about issues, believe we can be part of the solution, maybe report crime more. And if we can bring something to the equation that's helpful, which isn't always handcuffs, that's a good thing.
All right, thanks.
Big five to Dr. Rob.
Over this past weekend, a 23-year-old boy was shot, I guess a couple times in the leg. His 11-year-old brother was in the house when all this happened. But he is, I think, holding in a lot of anger right now.
One of the most important ingredients in terms of an intervention is to assess how present the threat is, whether the threat's continuing, etc., and then putting the threat in the past.
I just saw the 2 gunshots.
There are things we can do out there on the scene that can help people have a better handle on themselves.
John is going through a lot. His father's not around. He's been picked on. He's been really bumped, you know.
Mm-hmm. Your brother got shot over the weekend, right? You find yourself feeling more angry and upset? I don't know.
I don't know.
Did you go to school yesterday?
Yes.
Did you have a hard time concentrating in school yesterday?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, the reason I'm asking is that there are a couple of little things that I could teach you right now that might be able to help you. Because one of the things that's really uncomfortable, I imagine, is feeling like you're not in control of what's going on in your head. Right? And when you're nervous and you're worried about things, it's really hard to think and pay attention. There's always the opportunity for a family to come in for treatment with us. But at the time of an incident, one of the most useful tools is helping somebody regulate their breathing. It doesn't take away the awful things that have just happened, but it slows them down enough to think about how do they get through the night? How do they get through the next hour? How do they get to the hospital? Whatever that next step is, they're slowed down enough, they're back in control enough that now they can make a decision and move to the next step. It's hard to think today, isn't it? Yeah, you got a lot going on.
How about if she shows you how to do it?
So you want to try it with me?
Okay.
All right. Ready? Breathe in through your nose. Hold it. Now breathe out slowly through your mouth. There. Can you try it again? Now hold it for 3 seconds. So for that 2 seconds or 30 seconds that you were just doing that, what were you thinking about?
Nothing.
Right. That works. Brilliant, right? So when you're having all these thoughts running through your head, you can actually stop them by just doing that. Just breathing.
That's crazy.
It's crazy, but it works.
And by seeing the clinicians respond to kids, cops learn to go in there with wider eyes. They're able to see things that they didn't see before. And I think when they respond without the clinician on another incident, I believe it gives them a little something to say, maybe I can try something here. You know, this is a better way to respond. This is a better way for us to do our job.
There are too many children who hear and see way too much, who are left to feel out of control and helpless in the face of events that any of us would find unbearable.
My staff are the people who are running in when everybody wants to turn off their TV when they hear the news about these awful things that are happening to kids.
We're serving the most at risk and the most vulnerable children that are out there.
The most important thing we need to do before we walk away from any scene, no matter what it is, domestic violence or within a home or out in the street, is to make a kid feel safe. You know, we've got your back.
One of the incredible things about this program is that it's free and it's voluntary and it's confidential.
Biggest stumbling block right now is there's not enough funds to support the services. It's both a philosophical and fiscal issue about where do we want to go in addressing the best interests of children and their families.
This is a prevention service, but there's no funding for prevention. There is no mandate. We have to have those clinical resources to respond.
There's certain kids that if we start dealing with them early in life, we know that over their lifespan, we're going to deal with them a whole lot more if we don't do something now.
In any neighborhood you go to, there's kids that need the service we have.
I know and have seen so many stories in 3 cities now, New Haven and Stamford and Providence. I think the time has come for a program like this to be in all cities across the country.
You know, when something really awful happens and kids are there, it's beyond what they are able to handle. Somebody should be there. Somebody who knows how to best help them. Clinicians and officers responding together can provide what no one else can provide. All kids deserve that.